Well, we've done it. We've reached week 18 of the Bears season, mercifully. He is Dan Wiederer from the Chicago Tribune. Dan, you're there at Hallis Hall wrapping up the practice portion of the schedule. Is this team feeling heading into this game against Minnesota?
Yeah, we completed our last open locker room after our last practice of the season. There's a last day of school vibe here, Dionne in Lake Forest. There's an excitement for guys who can see the tape of the finish line and want to get across that successfully, or as successful as humanly possible on Sunday afternoon against the Vikings. We'll see where that goes, but obviously this is the wrap up of a long losing streak and a long season and a last place season that has some glimmers of hope that a lot of people are clinging to.
Yeah, namely Justin Fields, obviously
Yeah.
not playing in this final game. But have you seen enough from him this year to feel confident that the Bears got the right guy?
Well, so that's a loaded question because you have to figure out what the definition of the right guy is. Is it a guy that you feel like you want to continue taking your swings with in 2023 as you build around him with a better offensive line, a better receiving core, and increased continuity with the coaching staff? 100%. What Justin Fields has shown us during this season is that he has a leadership about him, an ownership of himself, the team, the offense that is impressive. He's shown us that his playmaking ability, particularly as a runner, is dynamic and worth investing in. What you need to see now is how he can progress and continue evolving as a passer, because the Bears own the NFL's worst passing attack in 2022. And that has a lot of pieces to the pie chart on why, right? The offensive line has struggled and been inconsistent with who's been in there. The receiving core hasn't been good enough. And Justin himself has flaws and deficiencies that he has to work on going forward. And so I think the Bears are eager to work on those with Justin. But certainly you want to see those progress before you believe that you've got a guy that can be a championship fueling, long-term, decade-long quarterback for you.
For as big as those issues were at receiver, to re-sign Equanimeous St. Brown as like your first move moving into the next year, was that surprising to you?
No, because it's just a minor move, right? It's a 1-year deal. It's $1.25 million that you're investing in Equanimeous St. Brown, and by the time it comes to putting together a 53-man roster next August or September, there's no promise that Equanimeous St. Brown is going to be on that 53-man week one roster. What it does is it gives them a piece in the receiving core to go into the offseason with a guy that people in this building believe is dependable, has been selfless in the way he's blocked for this running game, and has built up a rapport and timing with the quarterback. But you're going to be looking all off season at every single position you have on the roster to make upgrades and get better players. And once those better players are here, emotions taken out of the equation, you get out your axe and you cut the guys who don't belong anymore. And so we'll see where that goes over the next 9-10 months.
Ryan Poles has proved to us he can remove emotion and make decisions for his roster based accordingly on what he feels is the best move for them. Defensively, Alan Williams says he's seen improvement. Do you see any part of that defense that is solid heading into next year?
Look, it's been so long since we've seen the guys who are our core pieces on this defense on the field. We haven't had Eddie Jackson, for longer than a month. We haven't had Jalen Johnson here for the home stretch. Jack Sanborn, who was a replacement fill-in for Roquan Smith, hasn't played down the stretch here. You just look, this defense hasn't been able to stop the run, hasn't been able to rush the passer, and it's just been okay in taking the ball away. Those are three areas this team has to get a lot better at in 2023. You're assuming that they're going to make upgrades talent-wise to the roster, and they'll get on that track. But right now, any improvement that you're acknowledging and recognizing is minimal with where you're ultimately trying to go.
Okay, so let's say the Bears do lose their 10th straight game and the Texans find a way to win, and there are the Bears sitting with the number 1 overall pick. What do you do with that?
Well, I know out in front of your house, you've got confetti cannons ready to shoot those confetti cannons into the sky and have your number 1 draft pick party. I mean, that's where you would wind up. And then you have the ultimate offseason flexibility. You have the ultimate offseason piece to play around with, whether you want to use that on someone at the top of the draft, whether you want to trade with a willing trade partner that's willing to send you a lot of draft picks and other things to help you continue your roster rebuild. That's the decision Ryan Poles will have to make. Certainly there are rewards to being this bad. One of them is that draft status, but still, right? Like when you evaluate draft history and you understand how hit and miss it is, even at the very top of the draft board, year after year after year, I would much rather be a 6 or 7 win team that has a lot more pieces in place than one that is celebrating the idea of getting a chance at the top of the board to be flexible. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, Mitch Trubisky called and said there's no guarantee of anything. Dan, thank you so much.
Always good talking to you.